Finding the right caregiver for your kids isn't easy. You need somebody responsible who you can trust completely and feel comfortable leaving your kids with. So where do you start? Well, that's where the Nanny Doctor, Dr. Lindsay Heller, can help. She's a former nanny who's now a clinical psychologist. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
So the first thing we need to figure out is our family's needs. Do we need a live-in or a live-out, and what the nanny schedule would be?
Right. The first step in finding the right nanny for your family is to identify those specific needs for your family. It goes beyond logistical, practical things like hours and days. What you're going to want to think about are your specific needs, such as, are you an outdoorsy family? You're very active. You go hiking on the weekends, or do you like to sit around and play board games and watch movies?
So now how do you figure out what nannies are out there that are available? Should you go through an agency? Because I know a lot of people don't want to pay the fee.
Well, fees can be high for agencies. However, an agency can offer you a lot of security in that they can handle the background check, they do a lot of pre-screening beforehand, and they are professionals in this business. However, you can go through the internet and do some other things. The important piece is getting them checked out.
So let's talk about checking them out, because once you figure out who's available, you really need to screen them, and you say you should start before you even meet the candidate.
Absolutely. What you should do is you should check out the resumes, whether you get them through the internet or you get them from the agency. What you're going to want to do is screen those first and foremost. After that, you're going to place a call to the candidate. Don't do an interview over the phone, but just sort of get the feel for them. And then following that, you're going to want to do some personal reference checks. And I would even go so far as to say go for a third-party reference, which is when you talk to maybe a former employer of that nanny and you find out if there's any other adults maybe at a party, a birthday party or anything that were around this nanny who could also speak to this nanny's abilities.
So then when you've done that and you narrow it down to that one person, you actually want to bring them in. You want to, after you've met them and you think you really like them, you want to have them work a typical day or even a typical week.
Right. Yes. If they are a weekend nanny, what you're going to want to do is have them work a weekend day. And you're going to want to be present for that whole phase. Don't run the show, but educate them about your family. Model appropriate behavior to your children. Pay attention to how the children are responding to the candidate.
And then you definitely have to do a background check.
Absolutely. Background check is absolutely essential. If you're going with an agency, this is going to be built in. If you are going to do it on your own, in California we have trust line registry. However, you can go on the internet and look at different different organizations that do this. They usually start about $50, and you can even pay a little bit extra to have them do the sex offender registry.
Okay, and then once that check comes back clean, you can offer the position. What do you need to know before you offer this job, and how should you go about doing that?
Well, you're going to want to look through their resume, and you're going to think about your original, the needs that you identified early on in this phase, or in this process. And those needs are going to direct you to kind of what this job description looks like and how you're going to negotiate salary, and how you're going to talk about what that job description looks like with the candidate. And
Dr. Heller, I know there's always an adjustment period when the nanny and the family are getting to know each other. How do you make that go more smoothly, especially for the kids?
Well, the first 3 weeks to 3 months is a very critical adjustment period, and it's also a time when a lot of early firings occur, and it's usually due to poor communication. This is a time period when you're going to want to educate your nanny about you, and your nanny is learning about your family, and they're telling you how they are nannies.
And we want to make sure our nannies stay for a long time. How can you make sure, what can you do to help that process along and make sure you have a long-term nanny?
Communication is key. Good communication, being open when there's a conflict, really discussing that. Benefits are also, if you offer them things in addition to medical, dental, or vision, if you offer them things such as use of a car or a cell phone or trips or something, people are going to stay around a lot longer.
And giving them raises, I would imagine.
Raises, absolutely.
Okay, and what are some of the questions, going back to the interview, because that's the most important part, when you actually bring them in and then you meet them, what are some of the most important questions you can ask the nanny?
Some of the most important questions you can ask, first of all, you're going to really want to know about safety. So you're going to want to know you might want to ask them a question about, in other situations, have you ever had a situation where there was an emergency? And then listen to how they responded to that. Did they contact the parents first? Did they go straight to the emergency room? Did they have that information on them to know what to do? That's definitely a big point. Also, you're going to want to know about things such as their transportation. Do they have, it's another, in addition to the background check, you're going to want to look at their driving record. Do they have a good driving record? Again, for me, that relates to safety again and your child. Their knowledge of the ages of your children, going back to identifying your needs with your, in order to find the right nanny. You're going to want to think about the ages of your children, and has this nanny had experience working with these ages? You might want a nanny who has a lot of experience working with babies or older, but those are some questions you're going to, and also food, kind of nutrition. That's something you don't want your nanny driving through the drive-through every day for lunch. If it's really important to you that your children are receiving good nutrition, then they need to know that.
Okay, and finally, how about red flags? What things should you be aware of when you're looking at a resume or you're in that interview that should make you go, okay, this is not the right person?
Well, as a mom, I think you really should trust your gut feeling in a lot of situations. These are your children. If you are feeling uneasy about it, you should really pay attention to that. Secondly, if you're looking at a resume and you see a break in employment, I would wonder what that's about. And if, sometimes people will say, oh, there was a family emergency. Well, sometimes it's not a family emergency, and that's a key word for getting through the interview.
All right, Dr. Heller, thank you so much. Great advice. And if you'd like more information about Dr. Heller, you can go to her website, www.thenannydoctor.com. Thanks for watching Parents TV, your source for the best information for your growing family.
Thank you for watching Parents TV, our families, our lives.